The Ides of March, 44 B.C.E., dawned ominously over Rome. A sense of unease hung in the air as the sun rose, casting long shadows over the bustling streets. The citizens, unaware of the historic event about to unfold, went about their daily lives. In the heart of Rome, the Grand Senate House stood. It was here, within these walls, that Julius Caesar, the unchallenged ruler of Rome, would meet his tragic end. As the Senate gathered, the Roman leader arrived, surrounded by his supporters, completely unaware of the betrayal that awaited him. Among the senators were over 60 conspirators, led by Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus. They had carefully planned this moment, driven by a mix of political motives and personal grudges. As Caesar took his seat, the conspirators moved closer. Tullius Cimber, one of them, approached Caesar with a petition. When Caesar dismissed him, Cimber grabbed his toga, pulling it down from his neck. This was the signal. Suddenly, chaos erupted in the room. The first stab came quickly from Servilius Casca. Shocked and hurt, Caesar tried to defend himself, but the flurry of stabs overwhelmed him. Blood covered the marble floor as Caesar struggled to stand, his body giving in to the relentless attack. According to legend, his final words were "Et tu, Brute," a heart-wrenching expression of betrayal as he saw his friend among the attackers. With 23 stab wounds, Caesar collapsed, lifeless, at the base of Pompey's statue. This is the story we've been told for centuries, a narrative crafted by Plutarch, penned 150 years after the assassination, and immortalized by Shakespeare, who drew heavily from Plutarch's writings. According to them, Cassius and Brutus were the masterminds behind the plot to kill Caesar. But what if there's more to the story? What if the true puppet master remains hidden in the shadows, escaping the stain of Caesar's blood? Today, we dive deep into this ancient conspiracy, uncovering the secrets and the true architect of Caesar's demise. Get ready to unravel one of history's most intriguing mysteries. Let's begin. On the infamous morning of the Ides of March, the Senate was in session, eagerly awaiting the dictator's arrival. Yet Caesar had decided not to attend, allegedly because of bad health, but in fact due to a series of ill omens that had terrified his wife, Calpurnia. Calpurnia had been haunted by disturbing dreams the night before. She dreamt of holding Caesar's lifeless body in her arms and saw their house collapsing, a statue of Caesar spouting blood like a fountain. These terrifying visions filled her with dread, and she convinced Caesar to stay home from the Senate session that day. But then Decimus Brutus, a 26-year-old Roman politician and general, arrived at Caesar's house, determined to change the dictator's mind. Decimus Junius Brutus Albinus was known for his unwavering loyalty to Caesar and was one of his closest allies. Unlike Brutus and Cassius, who initially supported Pompey during the civil war between Caesar and the Roman general Pompey, 49 to 45 BC, Decimus had backed Caesar from start to finish. Caesar had even appointed Decimus as his lieutenant to govern Gaul, a position of significant trust and responsibility. When the war ended in 45 BC, Decimus returned to Italy with Caesar, a testament to their close relationship. Not just that, though Julius Caesar had often expressed how he loved Decimus like a son, Decimus knew Caesar inside and out, and so he knew exactly what to say to manipulate Julius Caesar on the Ides of March. Decimus approached the dictator and asked, "What do you say, Caesar? Will someone of your stature pay attention to the dreams of a woman and the omens of foolish men?" His words struck a nerve. Caesar, unwilling to appear weak or superstitious, decided to go. With that, he walked straight into the trap laid by his trusted friend. A friend who was not just one of the conspirators, but likely the mastermind behind it all. But how do we know this? Sometime within a few decades of the Ides of March, Nicholas of Damascus, a scholar and bureaucrat, wrote a biography of Caesar Augustus, Rome's first emperor, reigned 27 BC through AD 14. A later summary of this work survives, focusing on Julius Caesar's assassination. According to Nicholas, Decimus Brutus was the central figure behind the plotting. Although some scholars doubt Nicholas's credibility due to his service under Augustus and possible bias against the conspirators, recent studies suggest otherwise. They indicate that Nicholas had a keen understanding of human behavior and political dynamics, making his account a valuable source. Now let's turn our focus to the burning question. Why did Decimus Brutus, who had been one of Caesar's closest allies and even loved by Caesar, decide to turn against him? While we don't know the exact reason for Decimus Brutus's betrayal, some theories suggest it may have been due to personal ambition or a desire for power. Between September 45 BC and March 44 BC, something changed. Decimus's letter to Cicero revealed a man of action with a sharp sense of humor, keen eye for betrayal, and a thirst for revenge. Cicero, a staunch supporter of the Roman Republic and its traditions, fundamentally opposed Caesar's concentration of power. By aligning with Cicero, Decimus was joining forces with one of the most vocal critics of Caesar's growing dominance. One possible reason for Decimus's change of heart was Caesar's decision not to honor him with a triumphal parade in Rome after his victory over a fierce Gallic tribe in the autumn of 45 BC. Triumphal parades were prestigious celebrations usually reserved for top commanders who achieved significant military victories. However, Caesar departed from tradition by granting these honors to his lieutenants in Spain instead of Decimus. This snub likely felt like a personal and professional insult to Decimus, who'd been fiercely loyal to Caesar during the Civil War. He might have felt overlooked and undervalued, prompting him to reassess his loyalty to Caesar and consider his own status and influence in Rome. Or perhaps it was Caesar's decision to appoint his grandnephew Octavian, later known as Augustus, as his second-in-command in a new war against Parthia in 44 BC. This appointment was a significant move by Caesar, indicating his growing favor for Octavian and possibly signaling him as their heir apparent. Meanwhile, Decimus Brutus was left to govern Italian Gaul, which might have felt like a demotion. Whatever his reasons, once Decimus turned on Caesar, he became vital to the conspirators. He was their chief of security and their top spy. Another crucial reason why Decimus Brutus and other senior senators turned against Julius Caesar was his increasing power and the looming threat of tyranny. From October 45 BC to March 44 BC, Caesar's prolonged stay in Rome was unprecedented and hinted at his ambitions to reshape Roman governance. While he never openly declared his intentions, his actions suggested a move towards dictatorship. Caesar's crowning moment came when he assumed the title of dictator for life, a position never before held in Rome. Caesar kept the traditional roles of Rome's government intact, but he took over the real power to appoint officials, making elections a mere formality. This sidelined the Senate, giving more influence to Caesar's advisors, some of whom were recently granted Roman citizenship or were once slaves. Even though Caesar didn't call himself a king, his authority was like that of a royal ruler. Another big worry was what would happen after Caesar died. Critics were afraid that his support for Octavian suggested he wanted to start a dynasty. This raised concerns that Rome might move away from its republican roots toward a system where leadership passed down through a family, like a monarchy. Some Romans responded to Caesar's increasing authority by showering with honors, even proposing to declare him a god and erect a temple in his name. However, others didn't. Around 60 men were involved in the plot, although today we only know the identities of about 20. And Brutus and Cassius are probably the best-known conspirators. Cassius, a key figure in the plot against Julius Caesar, was motivated by political rivalry, personal grudges, and Stoic beliefs. He originally supported Pompey, but later aligned with Caesar after Pompey's defeat. However, Cassius deeply resented Caesar's increasing power, which he felt threatened Rome's traditional republican values. As a Stoic, Cassius valued self-control, virtue, and the ideals of justice and liberty. He saw Caesar's actions, especially accepting titles that resembled kingship, as dangerous for Rome. As for Brutus, he was never close friends with Caesar, contrary to Shakespeare's portrayal. Initially, he supported Pompey in the civil war against Caesar. However, after Pompey's defeat, Brutus switched sides and provided Caesar with crucial information about Pompey's whereabouts, earning Caesar's favor and high office in return. Despite this, their relationship soured over time. In 45 BC, Brutus divorced his wife and married Porcia, Caesar's archenemy, Cato's daughter. This union aligned him more closely with the anti-Caesar faction. As tensions mounted at Rome, critics urged Brutus to honor his family's legacy of defending the Roman Republic, which included his ancestors, particularly Lucius Junius Brutus, who led the overthrow of the monarchy centuries earlier. Motivated by pride, principle, and possibly affection for his wife, Brutus ultimately joined the conspiracy against Caesar, making a dramatic shift in his allegiance and putting Rome on the path to civil war. After Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BC, Rome plunged into chaos. Mark Antony, Caesar's ally, clashed with the conspirators led by Brutus and Cassius, sparking a brutal civil war. Seeking stability, Antony, Octavian, Caesar's heir, and Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate, but their efforts only escalated conflict. They defeated Brutus and Cassius at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, sealing their fate. Despite their victory, Rome remained divided. Octavian eventually emerged as Augustus, the first Roman emperor, ending the Republic and ushering in an era of imperial rule. A stark irony for those who sought to preserve Rome's republican ideals through Caesar's downfall.